Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the premier radio networks on Saturday, February 11th, 2012. This is episode 847. Enjoy. It's amazing to see how Japan has recovered. You know, Thailand, similar issue, of course, with a horrible flooding. Hard drives prices went through the roof in Thailand as a result of it. We expected memory prices to go through the roof because many of the areas that were swamped in Japan, including that area in the Fukushima nuclear power plant, made memory chips. And the recovery there has been so amazing. One year ago. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. That's not the only thing to talk about. We can talk some more about the Facebook IPO. $5 billion. You've heard the stories by now about the reason I thought about this, I was watching a video that somebody had made, an interview with Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, in 2006, I think it was. And he was saying, "Oh, we don't want to get too big. We're really good at serving the college market. We're now in Harvard, Yale, Stanford. Maybe we'll add a few universities, but we don't want to grow too big because we know our audience. We want to really focus on our audience." It was so fun to see that. But the thing I thought was most interesting, I'll see if I could find that video. The thing that was most interesting about their video is I noticed they're in a Palo Alto house, which was where they moved when Zuckerberg left Harvard, dropped out of Harvard to work on the Facebook. Still hadn't gone public. Still really weren't very many universities. He said, our next step is we're going to get in more universities. There was a wall, a graffitied, painted wall, graffiti artist had painted in that apartment or a house. And I have to think, as I'm looking at it, that's the $200 million wall. You've heard that story, right? I was thinking that's the $200 million wall. The story was that in the early days of Facebook, they had a graffiti artist come in and paint a wall, and they gave him stock. Now, when a startup, is first getting started, they don't have much. They're cash strapped. And it's not unusual to offer stock. I've been offered stock. I always turn it down. Maybe I made a mistake. But in this case, the graffiti artist, I guess he thought, oh, well, it's fun. I won't, they don't have to pay me. I'll just take a share of stock or whatever it was. That guy, when the Facebook IPO happens, the day Facebook goes public will be worth $200 million for that wall. That is the most expensive, that $200 million wall. Is that wild? Just playing with my big phone. I talked about this last week on Live with Kelly. Maybe you saw the video. This is the Galaxy Note, which comes out a week from tomorrow on AT&T. And I bought the unlocked European GSM version. It was all in German at first. Fortunately, Android makes it easy to change the language. And I've been using it for more than a week since. And it's become my primary phone. Now, some people look at this phone, which is 5.3 inches. It's ginormous. And say, that's too big. If you have small hands or a small head, probably it is too big. But for a big guy like me, it's just right. I'm calling this, and I think a lot of others are as well, a phablet. A phone merged with a tablet. A little small for a tablet. A little big for a phone. It's kind of right in between. But I like it. I like it. I'm just knocked out by this phone. Its screen is 1280 by 800. It's actually higher resolution than the iPad screen, which is 1024 by 768. It's higher resolution than the iPad screen. I love it. Well, there's a bunch of new phones coming out, including, and you might have seen the ads for this as well, the Droid Max. We'll talk about that and take your calls. 8888 Ask Leo. I'm Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. The website that we have set up for you is techguylabs.com. We have hired the prestigious firm of Lullabot and Company to redesign that site. In fact, they're getting to work on it. I think we have a conference call this week, so they're getting to work on it this week. I am so excited because these guys are an amazing web design firm. They did the Grammys, the site for the Grammys. I was concerned, I wanted to redesign for the Tech Guy site so that it would be more social. You could get involved in it. It would look a little bit more like it came from this century, not the last century, that kind of thing. And Lullabot, I'd worked with before. They did the original site for my podcast network, and they're so good, and they're just so great. And I didn't think really I could afford them, but they've been very kind and said, well, we'll make it work for you. So they did the Grammys. They did the Martha Stewart site, MTV Europe. The concern I had is I wanted to have a site that just that would handle a lot of traffic. Nowadays, you see sites just get stalled all the time by a lot of people going there. And when we do the radio show, well, this is the problem with web traffic, isn't it? It's not smooth. It's not a smooth curve. It's very spiky. People go there all at once or not at all. So when I look at the statistics for visitors, the analytics, Monday is okay, Tuesday down through, it goes all the way down through the week, fewer and fewer visitors every day. And then Saturday comes and boom, it's back right up. And Sunday, boom. And then it starts Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it needs to have enough capability to serve the big, vast number of people who come on the weekend during the show in big droves. So I think we're going to. So Lullabot says I think it's going to take 3 months to get this going. Meanwhile, you want to see the old site, such as it is, techguylabs.com. At least I can say this. There is a link there to the chat room, which is definitely from the last century. We use something called Internet Relay Chat, IRC, which predates the World Wide Web. It's been around that long, but it's great. It works well. You don't have to have a special client to do it. 852 people in there right now joining us. And it's like the smart kids in the back of the class, and I look to them for answers to questions I can't answer. So basically, when you call this show, you don't have the one tech guy. You got 853 tech guys answering your questions. How's about that? You could be one of them, tech guys and gals, by going to techguylabs.com. Let's go to the phones. Bryce in Richmond, Virginia. You're first today. Hello, Bryce. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Hey.
I love your shows.
Thank you very much.
So I just wrote a new album.
Wow, that's cool. Now, are you a signed artist with a major label?
No, I'm an independent.
I love that. See, that's the future. Despite what the labels think. Let me ask you this. What kind of music is it?
It's experimental electronic music.
Okay. Did you, as you're coming up, and was your goal to, I remember I read Keith Richards' biography, Life, which is a wonderful biography. And in Life, he says, all we wanted was a label. All we wanted was to get signed. I think that was true of every band in the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s. All we wanted was a label. But I think that's changed. What do you think as a musician, as an artist, what do you think what is the goal for you? Is it to get a record label? Is that still the case?
Not for me. I think that more than a label, I'd just rather would have a ton of fans.
You want to do it? Oh, I like this. You want a community.
Yeah.
But you're so smart. I look to my friend Jonathan Colton, who has had some real success, never had a label. He writes music and performs it and he tours, but he also puts out music on his website, Jonathan Colton, COULTON.com. Sells it himself. and has done very, very well. And the way he's done it, I think you hit the nail on the head. He's built, you call them fans, I call them a community. People who will pay for his music. Because everybody knows you can steal music. It's not hard to do.
Right.
What you want, though, is people who care enough about you that they want to buy your music.
Exactly.
Develop a relationship with your audience. And I think, Bryce, you hit the nail on the head. So your question is, how do I get fans? What's your question? Maybe you're doing it already. I don't know.
Well, so I have my album on Bandcamp right now.
Okay.
And I like it on there, but I'd also like to be able to have it on iTunes and Amazon.
So iTunes, okay, so it's different in different situations. iTunes, I think this was a mistake on Apple's part. I compare this to Google Music. Google Music, any independent artist at all can put an album on Google Music and sell it. iTunes, Apple didn't want to deal with individual artists. So they made deals with a number of different companies who will take independent artists and publish it. The one I know is CD Baby.
Okay.
So CD Baby has a deal with iTunes. You do a deal with CD Baby to, create your CD, and you don't really even need a CD. And they will make a deal. They have a deal with iTunes. Another one would be maybe TuneCore. The chat room tells me TuneCore. Thank you, chat room. TuneCore will get you on Amazon, eMusic, Nokia, iTunes, and others. So that would be another one.
Okay.
So the problem is, of course, you're going to give up some of your hard-earned dough to these companies to get on, which really bugs me. They'll take a cut. But Apple takes a cut too. Amazon takes a cut too. So I guess that's the story. I hope you are also selling it on your website.
I am. I have a whole webpage set up for it.
Tell me that website.
It's postpopalbum.com.
I like it. Post Pop Album. So that's a good name, I think, because it's memorable. It's easy to type. There's no hyphens in it or weird. It's just everybody knows how to spell postpopalbum.com. Now, I noticed it redirects to a different site. That's okay. All I have to remember is postpopalbum.com, right? So I think this is good.
I got it.
Yeah, smart. And you're giving it away free. Again, smart.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan gave his music away for a long time. He sells it too, but you can still get most of it for free. Here's the bad news, Bryce. I think in the new economy of music, the way most artists are going to end up making a living is not through selling their music at all, but through performance. Do you perform? Sometimes with this kind of music, you can't really perform it live.
Right. But actually what I did when I put out the album is I went on Justin.tv.
Oh, smart.
And I wrote a short story that goes with the album.
I think you get this. I think you get it.
Yeah.
You're getting the idea. This is exactly right. Perform it. I see it here. How old are you?
21.
This is great. I think, my son is also into music. He's 17, almost 18. And I think what I tell kids of your generation is, maybe you'll be able to get a job. It's a tough economy. We're in a recession. Wouldn't it be better to create your own job? And that's what you're doing. Congratulations. Well done, Bryce. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Extreme Scott Wilkinson is here. He is our home theater expert and joins us every week. Now at this time, at his new time, he's the online editor for Home Theater Mag. And you're going to be out in Vegas with us next, or I guess it's April, so in 2 months, for the NAB show, the National Association of Broadcasters show.
We'll do Home Theater Geeks from there. And
be fun.
Look at all kinds of cool stuff.
I'm hoping we'll see. Is Cedia? When is Cedia?
Oh, that's not till September.
September. All right. So Cedia is probably when we'll see the official release of those OLED displays.
Yeah. Well, I would assume so. Yeah.
We saw those, of course, the Samsung and LG OLED displays. It's the first new television technology in some time, big screen technology in some time, and really impressive at CES. We called, I did live with Kelly last week, and we called and we said, hey, Samsung, hey, LG, we'd love to show this on the big show. And they said no.
I was wondering about that. I was going to ask you, why didn't you have an OLED on this?
We tried.
Yeah.
We
boy,
tried.
That's too bad. They missed a big opportunity there.
Well, I'm thinking there's a reason. I think they know what a big opportunity is. It's 4 million people watching that show.
Yeah.
And many of whom are, the people who watch TV. So that's a good thing for somebody who sells TVs.
Yeah, exactly.
They decide not to, which makes me think that they are not quite ready for prime time, perhaps, or they don't want to.
Ready for prime time? I would assume so.
They don't want to push them yet, something like that.
Yeah. Well, they don't want to, I guess, cut into their sales of
that's what it is.
LCDs and plasmas.
That's what it is. They don't want the regular people. They don't mind showing them at CES for us, experts, but they don't want normal people yet to industry types. They don't want normal people yet to know. That's exactly right.
Except that there were 6,000 press people there, including me, and we all wrote about it. So anybody who follows our websites and blogs and stuff,
that's enthusiasts though, not people who watch Live with Kelly. And I think that's
you're right.
I think you hit the nail on the head. That really is it. They don't want non-enthusiasts. They want enthusiasts to get excited and start talking about it, but they don't want non-enthusiasts to stop buying TVs.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm afraid that's always going to be a very important factor in releasing new product.
So, Scott, as I mentioned, hometheatermagazine.com, and every week he has a poll and answers questions on Home Theater Magazine, does reviews. Yep. First of all, what was your poll this past week?
Well, this past week I answered a question, and then my poll came out of that. The question was about hearing protection and earplugs. And what kind of earplugs do I use? Because I mentioned it on one of my podcasts. And so I answered that question. And then I asked the question of everybody else, do you wear earplugs in loud environments like rock concerts and loud movies, particularly IMAX, which can be very loud?
And I'm guessing it was 80% no, but let me vote. You have a choice. Always, sometimes, never. I'm going to say I never do. I should, of course, protect my hearing. Am I alone? Let's click the magic button. And the answer is, well, surprisingly, most people wear them sometimes.
Yeah, that's the majority answer.
Huh.
And surprising number of people always. I clicked always because I always do.
Well, you're smart. You protect your hearing.
It's really, really important because especially when you're younger. When I was younger, when I was in college, I played in rock bands, Chicago Tower of Power type style bands, and I didn't wear earplugs.
Yeah, horn sections will deafen you fast.
Really fast.
Especially Tower of Power because they get very explosive.
Yes.
Right,
exactly.
Interesting. So I'm glad to hear that. We saw when we were at CES, and I really thought these were cool. Etymotics was there, and I love Etymotics headphones. They're very accurate. They're in-ear monitors, which means they flanged and you jam them way deep in your ear, which means that they seal off the outer sound. And they have become very aware of this issue. They make Etymotics for kids that automatically noise limit. They will not go above, I think it was 88 decibels, which is
really? I didn't know that. That's great.
Yeah, isn't that great? I mean, it's just it's so if you're buying headphones for your kids, and kids want to wear headphones, they all have iPods or iPhones,
right.
But this way. You can do it safely, and you can give them to them, and the kids, because you can set the setting. iPods and iPhones have a setting that's, sets the noise level, but they know how to change that. This way, the headphones, this is all, and they're good headphones. That's the other thing. I think good quality, you're less likely to turn up because you're hearing a fuller range of music.
That's exactly right, and that's one of the points that DTS made at CES, and I've been talking about on my podcast since then, is that high quality music. The high-quality music really makes a difference to your experience, and it also means you don't necessarily turn it up so loud because you do hear everything better.
Right.
That's exactly right. So it's a very important issue that I talk about as much as I can because I want to protect people's hearing from the guy who wrote me the question has a condition called hyperacusis, which is a super sensitivity to volume. So when most people are kind of going, oh, yeah, that's maybe a little loud, he's cringing in pain. And so that plus ringing in the ears, technically called tinnitus.
Yeah, that's what I have. And that's from as a kid, as a teenager sitting. I loved loud rock concerts, and I would always go right next to the speakers because the louder the better. And, you'd leave those concerts with your ears ringing for several days. But what happened is after doing that for a few years, I have permanent ringing in my ears always.
That's exactly right. And there is no cure.
Yeah.
You hear these radio commercials for dietary supplements, don't work. There is no cure for tinnitus or tinnitus. So
it's and I notice it when it's quiet, and I just try not to pay attention to it, because I think if I did, I would go crazy, because it's always there.
Does it keep you from going to sleep?
It can.
Yeah,
it can.
That's one of the biggest problems with it, is when you're trying to go to sleep, it's quiet. Right. There's not a lot of stuff going on, and so you hear this beep in your head. Or anyway, so I want to try and help people avoid that.
Yes, I do too. No one should be so dumb as I was as a kid. It just was a stupid thing to do.
Well, I was too. I
worry now more for our kids, because they all wear headphones now, and that's even worse. They're right on the ears, and they can get very, very
exactly
loud.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what's on the top of my page.
What is it? Are you going to do an article, a poll this week?
This coming week, I was thinking about actually asking how often you go out to live concerts, because obviously hometheater.com. A couple weeks ago, I asked, how often do you go out to movies as opposed to staying home in your home theater? And the biggest response was a few times a year.
Really?
Yeah.
More people are staying home.
More people are staying home. And a lot of people said, hey, my home theater is better than what I can get in a commercial cinema.
Yeah, that may be the case. And there's certainly no kids kicking your seat, no popcorn, no sticky floor.
Yeah, exactly.
No cell phones ringing.
Yep. Nobody texting on their bright phone.
Oh. It's true.
On the other hand, there are movie experiences, commercial cinema experiences, that do go beyond what you can get at home, particularly IMAX.
To me, I love going to the movies. We don't have an IMAX in our little town here in Petaluma.
Right.
But I love going to the movies.
See, I do too. And part of it is as a social experience.
Yeah, I like it. It's dark. Anyway, enough of that. Scott Wilkinson, hometheater.com, his podcast, Mondays, 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern at twit.tv. We'll go back to the phones right after this.
Where'd Leo go? Anybody see Leo?
I'm here.
Oh, he's up in front.
Stop
right by the speakers.
Deaf. That's me right up next to the speaker there. Turn it up. You know what I fear? My son is going to do the same thing. He loves that dubstep stuff, and he loves it loud. And the thing about dubstep music, which is all the kids love it these days, is there's something in the middle called the drop. So it has this kind of preamble, and then all of a sudden this big loud bass kicks in. And they call it the drop. What it goes, and he loves that, and he loves it loud. This is good. We're going to see Roger Waters when, John? March? May 8th. 18th. All right. They'll be redoing the wall at the AT&T Park, right? Oy. I spent more money on those tickets than I spent on the speakers, by the way. 8888 ask Leo, but doing it live. That's what you're going for, right? You want loud that way. I despair for my generation. We're all deaf. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 ask Leo is the number. Let's go to line 1. That's Neil. He's calling from Phoenix, Arizona. Hello, Neil. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Morning. Thank you for taking my call.
Well, thanks for calling.
Listen, I was just calling. I want to thank you, first of all. You inspired me last fall to build my own computer, and I've got that up and running now with an SSD boot drive and so forth. I'm very happy with it. The IBM PC, or not an IBM, but a PC.
PC compatible. Yeah, sure.
Exactly. And but I was calling today, having got a machine up and running. I decided to add a photo editing program to it. I chose Photoshop Elements 10. Figured that would be a good choice.
A very good choice.
Not really a special photographer.
Yeah, it's under $100. You get 90% of the features of the $700 Photoshop, and it's a lot easier to use. And most of the advanced features you don't need unless you're doing magazine layout or something. So I think that's a good choice. Right. Photoshop Elements, yeah.
Right. So I have it installed. It's really working fine, but I had one curious pop-up that comes up whenever I start the program, and that is when I launch the program, the first thing I get is a message that says that the profile for my SyncMaster monitor is defective, and I'm not quite sure how to correct that.
Do you actually have a SIG monitor?
So it's a Samsung SyncMaster monitor.
Okay, so it does have the right name for your monitor.
Right, it identifies it properly right
Yeah.
down to the model number.
Right.
It just says it's defective, the profile, but it still will work. You can override it or correct it. So I don't know what, if anything, I need to do about it.
Yeah, color profiles are important because it's what it does is it makes it more the monitor as accurate as can be, and it allows you to do proper color calibration. Now, if you think about it, you're editing a photo. You've taken a photo. The photo has information about color in there, and you look at it on the screen. Now, if your screen is not calibrated properly, if it's slightly green, and you adjust, you look at this photo and you say, "Oh, it's kind of green," so you turn down the green, and then you distribute it or you print it, and somebody with a calibrated monitor looks at it, it's going to look wrong. There'll be too little green, right? So it's important that the monitor have a correct color profile. Now, I suspect that's what the complaint is from Photoshop. Photoshop pays attention to these kinds of things. I think the easiest thing to do in Elements would be to go into Elements and in the settings and probably want to choose Adobe RGB or sRGB as your color profile and see if that fixes it. It may be all you need. It may be, did you at some point go into Adobe and say, hey, I want to use this monitor or change the settings there?
No, I actually just used the default installer. I didn't really change much of anything.
Okay, well, go in and check. What Adobe, so this is something that is kind of arcane, but it's certainly important for photographers. Ideally, you'd have a defined color profile for the monitor that you're using. Usually, you use the one that came from the manufacturer. You can make your own. You can use a colorimeter. Actually, I think it's a spectrophotometer that you use on a screen. Colorimeters for a printer. These are devices that actually, I call them color suckers. They look like little suckers that go on the screen. They measure the color of the screen. You'll put up color bars or whatever, and they actually create a profile to calibrate the screen to make it accurate. That's called a spectrophotometer. Usually you don't need to do that because at the factory they've done that, and unless the screen is highly off track, that's going to be adequate. So there is a color profile for your Samsung SyncMaster monitor. You might go to Samsung, maybe it's corrupted, maybe it's damaged. So you go to Samsung and you could download a new one. If you Google, Samsung SyncMaster color profile, you'll be able to get that. But again, I think that it's most likely that the best thing to do would be merely to set the color profile in Photoshop Elements to a generic sRGB or Adobe RGB. Well, at least start with that. And then, you can always go to the Samsung website. Web9239 is saying if you reinstall the VDU drivers from Samsung's website, that will fix it. One or the other, or both. And it probably, the truth is, for most of us, it doesn't matter that much. Our monitors now are accurate enough that it's not really an issue. It isn't, if you do prints, then it might become an issue. I hear this all the time. People say, "Gee, I'll look at something on the screen. I'll take a picture of a red rose. I'll look at it on the screen. It doesn't match. So I adjust it in Photoshop to make it match the color of the actual color of the rose. And then I print it, and it's blue. So there's a mismatch. And this is actually a tricky thing to do. There's a mismatch between the color recorded by your camera, the color on the screen, and the color on the print. And the ideal would be to get these all to match. So in Adobe, you want to set the color space to sRGB or Adobe RGBs. Do the same in your camera. And then if you're really not getting the results you want, you can actually get a spectrophotometer, Spider, for instance, put it on the screen, calibrate the screen, get a colorimeter, Spider also makes those, calibrate the printer. This is what pros will do, and then get everything across the board completely calibrated. it's still a little off because the way that a screen generates color is different from the way a print generates color. A screen is emissive. Light comes from the screen to your eyes through filters. It glows, right? And if you look at a print, it's exactly the opposite. Light bounces off the print into your eyes. It's reflective. So it's always going to be a little bit of a difficult task to match emissive color to reflective color. They'll never match exactly, but you can get closer. And you certainly can tweak it until you get to the point where that red rose on the print looks identical to the red rose in real life. That's where you're going, right? If you can. So, yes, somebody, Jeff in the chat room saying, you're telling this guy way more than he wants to know. I know. I consider this a teaching moment. I think the best thing to do, go to Samsung, make sure you've got the correct drivers for your Sync Master. Download those. That couldn't hurt anyway. And then look in your settings in Adobe Photoshop. Make sure those are set properly. And if you really want to go all the way, go to the camera and set that too. I usually use sRGB, not Adobe RGB, for everything. Because somebody told me to do that once. Steve and I don't know why. Steve in Sherman Oaks, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Steve.
Hello, Leo. You have helped me with a couple of big transitions in the past, so I'm ready to make another one.
All righty.
I have a small business, and I have AT&T, and I'm looking to switch to a VoIP.
All right.
So I need three things I need. I don't need anything too fancy. I just need good voice quality.
Yeah.
An ability to retrieve my messages remotely.
Yeah.
And to be able to do a call forwarding.
Okay.
And do those services...
yeah, pretty much those are... VoIP. The nice thing about VoIP is it is flexible. Here are the negatives on VoIP. The call quality is really as much determined by your internet access as anything else, right? So you've got to have not merely sufficient bandwidth, but you've got to have consistent bandwidth. The truth is, it doesn't require a lot of bandwidth. For VoIP stands for, folks, voice over internet. It's basically like Skype. It's using the internet instead of your phone service. So the bandwidth is what really is going to make a difference. If you feel that you have good, consistent, reliable bandwidth, then VoIP will sound great. You can use, Magic Jack. You can actually use Skype. You can use Vonage. In fact, your cable company also offers a VoIP solution.
That was my next question. What is the best way to go?
Yeah. Well, hold on. Let's talk a little more about voice over the internet. And, in our office we use VoIP. We use Ring Central, and it's fantastic, but that's a business solution. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. And it's time to talk computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, and all that jazz. I was talking about smartphones, the new smartphone from Samsung, the Galaxy Note, which is, most smartphones are pretty much the same thing. It's either Android or not. Android, Windows Phone, iPhone, or not. But this one is just so weird because it's 5.3 inches. It's huge. And I've just lost it because I gave it to my business partner, Lisa Kensel, and I said, well, because in the chat room they're saying, well, it fits in your pockets because you're a man, you have big pockets. So I said, well, Lisa, do you have a... And she's trying in her pockets, and now it's gone. I don't know. It's just... Oh, thank you. You're done with it now. Huh? Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. We were talking to Steve in Sherman Oaks. Steve is currently on AT&T. He wants to switch to VoIP. Now, they're telling me in the chat room you said it was for business.
Yeah, I've got a small business out of my house.
I misunderstood. I thought it was for home. Yeah, we use Ring Central, and I should say they're an advertiser, but they're an advertiser because we use them, and I like them so much that I said I'll do ads for you if you'd like. So Ring Central, for a one-man shop, I'm not sure if it's appropriate. I guess it is. It's $25 a month. That includes long distance all over the continental U.S. and Canada. It does include faxing. Voicemail goes to your email inbox. They also have apps for your smartphone. The reason I like it is our staff, we're a little bit bigger. We're about 20 people. Our staff can use their cell phone. They can use the Ring Central app on their cell phone to make calls, but it appears to be coming from the business number. They can have their business number ring their cell phone. In fact, they can do everything they want on their cell phone, but it appears more professional because it's coming through our business number. So I think it's a very good solution. and it does use your internet access. We bought Polycom phones to go with it, but you can use any. You don't even need a phone, to be honest. You can use software on a computer to do this, and as I said, you can use your smartphone. Has extensions, has all the features that you'd want. It does have the what you asked about, forwarding. I like the built-in faxing. So that's for business. That's a great choice. There are other services like that. There's Grasshopper. I used them until I found RingCentral. I used Grasshopper.com. I think they're good. These are business-focused services. And, you know, the truth is, if it's just a one-man shop, even Magic Jack or Vonage might be okay. But I think the advantage of using a business-oriented service is they do things like 800 numbers, multiple mailboxes, so you can say, you know, for accounts receivable, press 1. You know, for human resources, press 2. And it makes you, to be honest, it makes you sound like a big company.
Can I ask one more question about it?
Sure.
I have Time Warner Cable now for my internet access, but I have the lowest possible, you know, the cheaper version of that. Should I upgrade that? Because you said that's important.
Well, I would try it, and if you need to, you can upgrade. It's not so much speed, which is what you get with the lower service. You get less speed. It's not speed. As long as you have a megabit up and down, which you probably have, it's plenty. What it really is consistency. And that becomes an issue, you know, and it's just, you know, it depends on how it's implemented and so forth, what it's like in your neighborhood. Probably most of the time with cable companies, cable internet, it gets bad at night when everybody's on it. In the daytime, it's great.
Yeah, mine's been pretty good, pretty consistent, so I guess that's probably all I need.
Usually it's because nobody's home.
Yeah.
So you're in luck. You may actually get amazing service during the day, and it's just when everybody gets home and starts watching Netflix, it goes downhill.
Okay, Leo, thank you so much. You've been a big
my
help.
pleasure. So I highly recommend RingCentral. Having had direct experience with them, I've been very happy. They just it's great service, never goes down, very reliable. But as I said, there are other companies. The chat room's also saying phonebooth.com is another business solution, VoIP solution. The truth is, I think most businesses, even very big businesses these days, are not using the phone company. It's just too expensive. And it's old-fashioned. You know, you could do so much more with these modern software-based phone systems. David in New Jersey, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, David.
Hi. Been a long-time listener, a first-time caller to your show. I really appreciate all that you've put out there.
Thank you.
So I've been doing a video podcast, and we've been screen recording Google Hangouts.
Oh, fun.
In order to get everyone, because all of our people are not in the studio. I mean, we have people from Washington, New Mexico, and Canada. And so I found the best way so far is to screen cap and record the Google Hangout to get video and also track audio. Now, the only thing is, of course, it's a little bit compressed looking, so I'm looking for some suggestions on how to get a little bit better quality throughout this whole process.
You know, Google Hangouts will automatically save and post that Hangout on YouTube.
Yeah, they do have that feature. Unfortunately, it is for, they call it feature the Hangouts Live or whatnot. Yeah. And it is a very select group of people.
Oh, you have to get into that. You have to get into that beta, huh?
Yes.
I didn't know that. All right. Yeah, because we do one with Trey Ratcliffe on our podcast network, and that's how we do it. But obviously, Trey is in a very special group on Google+.
I know a few people have it. It would be fantastic to have.
Yeah.
It's so helpful.
Well, what are you using to screen record?
We're using Camtasia Studio.
Which is a great program. And there's settings in there about how much compression, right? I presume you've...
Yeah, and it does crystal clear recording, but the compression is coming through the stream.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Itself.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of... I mean, what you see is what you get. You're not going to get that any better than it's coming to you from Google.
Yeah, so that's why we're sort of looking for other suggestions, maybe...
well, I use Skype. That's what we do. Yeah. And one of the reasons we use Skype is because the audio quality is so good, and the video is usually very good. So if you've ever seen any of our TWiT podcasts, almost all of our hosts are all over the country, some of them outside the U.S., and we use Skype for that. In fact, even on this show, if you just heard Scott Wilkinson, he's on Skype. Yeah. And it just sounds, to me, sound is so important. You know, you could put up with kind of choppy video as long as the sound's okay. You can have great video and lousy sound, and people will be very unhappy. Sound has to be rock solid. So to me, that's a good. Skype's a good choice. The problem with Skype is if you have more than one person, you need a setup like ours where we have four unique Skype machines, and then we pump them all into a switcher. I mean, it's ridiculous. You wouldn't want to do that.
I've been following your podcast for years, and I love this.
We kind of overdo it, yeah.
Yeah, I wish I had the cash to do that myself.
Yeah, well, we built it up slowly, and that's the thing. As you build audience and success, I have to say, Google Hangouts is probably a very good choice because it just kind of handles it, makes it very easy for you.
Great audio quality, and we get superb audio through it. But
have you tried GoToMeeting?
Yeah, but that's a paid subscription, so we're not making.
It ain't free. Yeah,
we're
it's $49. $49 is not too bad a month.
Yeah.
Try it. Try the free one for a month because they have up to 6 people in a window, and I think the quality and the audio is very good on that.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't feel. Yeah, and I know it's not free. It's $49 a month, but and they are a sponsor. I hate to keep plugging sponsors. We have great sponsors. What can I say?
By the way, we're just starting out and trying to build our fan base. Can I give the podcast?
Sure. What is the topic?
It's called the Quad Spot. QUADSPOD or SPOT, and you can find it on YouTube right now. We have the iTunes feed and everything out. But if you search the Quad Spot on Google or whatnot, you should find it.
And you talk about audio?
We cover all things internet-related. We sort of find the YouTubers that have great content, but they don't have the viewers, and we sort of interview them and bring them to the attention of the masses. So
well, that's great. The Quad Spot. Good luck on your podcast. That's great. And, keep at it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Love this song. 8888. Ask Leo's the number. That's 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. If you're outside the U.S., use Skype or another voice over internet. You can give me a ring, and it won't cost you a thing because it's a toll-free number. Soup is on the line from Venice. Hi, Soup.
Yes, excellent afternoon, Leo. How are you?
Good to talk to you. I'm well. How are you?
Excellent. Fantastic. Thanks. The sun finally came through in Venice. Love it.
Yay.
So I got a question regarding, it's a big pet peeve of mine when I go to a movie theater, and before I say that, I got about 40 people tuning in your station today because I was going to be on radio, so I got everybody saying, yeah, we're listening now.
Hey, everybody say hi to Soup.
There you go. I love it. So I go to a movie theater, and the image on the screen is actually bigger than the screen itself because at the projection room, they're not able to.
Well, that's annoying. What movie theater is that?
But most of them, I go to Santa Monica, Venice, sometimes in Hollywood. The biggest thing is when it's a movie I really want to see and it's a premiere, and they can't even do that. So I say something to the manager. They say, we'll see what we can do. But it never happens. Is it that difficult, Leo, to go to a projection room and make the image smaller?
I'm stunned. What kind of movie theater? So you're seeing an edge of light, the actual image projected around the screen, beyond the screen.
Most of the time, isn't it bad? It's either on the curtain on the right and left.
That's
or
terrible.
on the bottom. It is, please. They say it's a detail, but no, I want to see everything.
It's not a detail. That's ridiculous. It should exactly match the screen.
That's what I'm saying. That's why.
Now, I have to say, we have here in our little town, we have a DLP, digital cinema, and it does. It exactly matches the screen. Maybe that's because it's digital. It's a shame if that's the case. You complain, and you're right to complain, and it's just that they're not set up right. I don't know what the answer is. It is not, absolutely not, designed to be that way.
Well, I'm glad you said that. I hope that a lot of people who projection room I guess, work that. And
they know it. They know it. They don't care. And I would just never go to that theater again. That's just really annoying.
Exactly. Most AMCs, I'm sorry, and Criterion.
Yeah, those are. You know what? It's this multiplexes. They really don't care, and they may have even built the screen wrong.
Wow.
They just don't care. You want to go to a theater. We have a theater here down the way a little bit in Marin County that George Lucas set up. It's a big theater. It has one screen. And it's THX certified. And that's what you're looking for. Look for a THX certified theater And don't, boy, that's terrible. Especially you're in Hollywood. You're in the land of the movies. How dare they?
You understand my pain now.
Yeah.
Oh well. What's actually the advice? The multiplex.
I don't know. I think that they've either built this theater wrong. In other words, that the projector's just a little too close to the screen's a little too small or something, or something's out of kilter. It may not be something they can easily fix. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. But I would ask for my money back. I'd say, hey, I'm sorry, your screen is wrong. your projection is wrong. Take the money. Say, I want my money back. They may laugh at you, but if they do, then they'll go back there. I don't know what. There's no magic answer, Soup. I wish there were. I wish I could say go to the Better Business Bureau, but I don't think that's a big enough issue. Some people in the chat room are saying, well, now this is the excuse. I don't buy it, but this is the excuse. The edge of the image is soft, so they overshoot it so that you don't see the soft edge, and it makes it look sharper. I don't buy it, not for a minute. I do think if you go to a digital theater or a THX certified theater, this won't happen to you. Be my guess. I don't buy it. Todd in Riverside, California Riverside County, California is coming up next. His system restore is broken and he's out of luck, or is he? We'll talk in just a bit before we do. Todd, Riverside County, California. Welcome, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo, how you doing? Can you hear me?
I hear you great, Todd. What can I do for you?
Okay, I'm going to try to be real brief because there's a lot of details. What happened is I have a Windows XP Home Edition operating system on my Dell.
Too many details. What happened? I don't need to know the operating system. What happened?
Okay. Everything's running fine. I went online in order to download my resubscription of McAfee, and for some reason it didn't take the download. Maybe I accidentally interrupted in the middle of the download. I think I did something like that. And it took my old version out, but did not put the new version in, and then it wouldn't put the new version in. Then I thought, I'll back it up to an earlier date in my system using the system restore, which I've used 1,000 times. I know how to use it. And I went back to an earlier date, but the Mac, it wouldn't let me download. I tried to re-download the McAfee. It wouldn't let me do it. I restored to it even earlier.
Here's what you do. Call McAfee. I can't help you because what can I say? That's their problem. Something's wrong with McAfee. And by the way, piece of garbage, please don't use it. There is a McAfee, but this is not uncommon with security software. They don't want to make it too easy for you to mess with it. So there is a McAfee consumer product removal tool. That's what you need to use. You need to uninstall McAfee. Use a consumer product removal tool to get all the bits of it off. If you really, really want to use McAfee again, you can then install it. My suggestion, try something a little bit better. I don't like it, as you can tell. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Michael in New Mexico. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello, Leo. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Oh, I'm not doing good. I got a Samsung Media Player 5.0 Okay.
Oh, boy. Something's going on. I'm sorry. It's something to do with your... I think he's on VoIP. So that's, by the way, that sound, that's what happens when Skype or another voice over the internet program kind of loses bandwidth. What happens is you're missing little bits of little chunks of the audio. And in order for a conversation to happen in real time without a long delay, it's just got to forget those. And so you get this kind of where the sound would be, but it isn't. You can get when you watch a video or you listen to internet audio, you know that buffering thing? That's how they get around that. So if you think about how data is sent from over the internet from a source to your computer or your cell phone, it's sent in little chunks called packets. And the idea is if the packets arrive in order on time, you just assemble them, play it back. But because the internet is an inconsistent beast and there's no packet prioritization, the packets, in fact, the way the internet was designed is the packets could arrive out of order or even delayed. It works fine with email. The computer just gets, when it gets all the packets, it assembles it and delivers it. But on a conversation, you can't wait. On a movie, what you do is you buffer. So you don't start the movie right away. You press play, and it goes through a little period of buffering, right? What it's doing is it's getting ahead. It's downloading 50, 100, 1,000, whatever packets, usually somewhere from 15 to 30 seconds worth of packets. And then if a packet's dropped, it's okay. What it does is the buffer gets a little smaller because it's already ahead, so it can wait a little bit. Now, if enough packets are dropped that you have to wait the entire buffer length, 30 seconds or 15 seconds, then it has to rebuffer. It has to get ahead again. You can't do that, though, if you want to have a conversation. Imagine somebody calls me and 30 seconds later their voice comes through. That's not going to work. We don't do buffering when we do live stuff, real-time stuff. You can't buffer in a conversation. So anyway, I'm not sure what he wanted to know. He said he had the Samsung Media Player. I think he was saying he had trouble getting stuff to it. I was just talking about the Samsung Galaxy Note. The media player is very similar. In fact, essentially, it's a Galaxy Note without the phone part. Or it's an iPod Touch. It has Android on it. Does everything Android will do. If you're in Wi-Fi area, it's just like an iPod Touch. But they're less expensive. They're about $270. It's a tablet. The issue, though, of course, and this is one of the advantages that Apple has. Apple, because it controls the whole chain from the record company or the movie company or the TV company to your device, they make it very easy. You just sync it up, you buy it on iTunes, you sync it up, and it's on the device. And you're done. A little bit more complicated with a company that doesn't have that store. So this Samsung, by the way, it's not as high a resolution as the Note, is it? It's 800 by 480, the Galaxy Player. My guess is that if he's just copying files over to the digital hard drive, the SD card, he's copying files in formats that the device can't read. My suggestion would be, there's a great program. It's free. I use it, and I love it, called TWiT, doubletwist.com. It works on Macs. It works on PCs. There's a desktop version. It's basically iTunes for Android. It'd be the shorthand for this. They've got a player for the phone, and they also have something called AirSync. So you don't even have to hook the device up. It copies music, videos, podcasts over to the phone or the media player, either over the air or over a USB cable for speed. And it will make sure that the videos it copies over are in a file format you can play back. And if it can't, it won't copy them. For instance, if you have copy-protected music, as I do on my Mac, it just doesn't copy it. It says, you're not going to be able to play it, so I'm not going to copy it. I like TWiT a lot. I think that's probably a good choice for you if you're using a Samsung media player. Sunana in Lafayette, Colorado. Is that how you say it? Sunana?
Yes, that's correct.
Nice to talk to you.
How are you? Thank you for taking my call, Leo.
Thanks.
I love your show.
Well, I love you for calling.
I am always impressed with your insightful and thoughtful answers. I am a chef and a writer, and I have a cooking show.
Yay!
And I did my cooking show on some local public access stations, and now we have it on a website, but the videos are all 28 minutes. And I don't like the fact that if you come to my website and you click on watching the video, it has to take you to YouTube.
Right.
So my question to you is, what is your advice about trying to get the videos housed on the website so people aren't taken away from the website?
I would stay on YouTube. It's the way you're embedding it. What's your website?
It's called dinneratyourhouse.com.
I love this.
Basically, I go to people's houses and I cook delicious meals, and then we talk to them about what they think is the holy grail of their house. Whether it's
This is a great idea.
Heirloom or, architectural feature or animals.
So I'm looking at the site. Where are the videos? I don't even see them.
Well, if you see on top, it says...
I see it now. It says you click it. So what you need to do is, instead of what you're doing is on this website, you're putting a link to YouTube.
Right. And I want to house the video.
Don't, because you don't want to pay. Trust me, you don't want to pay the bandwidth. But I understand you don't want people to leave your website. You don't have to. Go to your YouTube site, your YouTube page, and you're going to look for the share button.
Okay.
And click that, and then underneath it, there's a button that says embed. That's what you want to use instead of that link. You want to use this code. They're going to give you some code. It's an embed code. And use that instead of the link. And what it does is it embeds the video into your site. So you've probably seen sites where they have video on the site. You press the play button. It's still from YouTube, but it's embedded on the site. And it's merely the way you're putting it on the site. So what kind of site is it? Is it WordPress? What are you doing?
I'm not sure.
Somebody's doing it for you.
Yeah, my boyfriend's doing it for me. I've given him the content and the recipes.
So tell the boyfriend. So here's the deal. What he did was he did. I mean, I don't blame him. Nothing wrong with it. He did the obvious thing, which is he's put a link in, and the link is to your YouTube page. But what you really want is an embed, not a link. By the way, it's shot beautifully. Whoever's shooting it, is your boyfriend shooting it?
You know what? No, this was the...
Oh, the TV network did it. Yeah. Somebody professional did this. It's beautiful.
Yeah, a student from University of San Diego. He did it.
He knows what he's doing.
He has a really good eye, and now we're going to get to the point where we can shoot it ourselves. But
I love it. I love it that you kept the rights to this so that you could put it on your own website. So it's merely putting the embed code there instead of a link. Now, that's shorthand for what's going wrong, and he may need a little bit more help about what that means, and it kind of depends on what's the site hosting is and all that. But try that as a start. Say, boyfriend, use an embed code. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah. 8888. Ask Leo. Jim's in San Joaquin Valley. Hello, Jim. Leo Laporte here. What can I do for you?
Hi, Leo. I just love my Bluetooth headset, but I've got a little glitch. The manufacturer sent me 10 simple steps. All of them are easy except number one, which is delete all of the Bluetooth settings off of my phone. And there seems to be no way to delete it. I've downloaded the LG drivers for the phone, connected to my computer, done everything I can think of. Cannot find a way to delete them. Any clues?
It should be just in the preferences, in the settings. What kind of phone is it?
It's an LG Optimus M.
Okay, so it's an Android phone.
Right.
Yeah. So you go into your settings menu. You know how to get there. You press the menu button.
And there's nothing to delete those.
Yeah, there is. Stay with me. I promise you.
Okay.
You go into the settings buttons. You press. Let me walk you through it here real quickly. You press the menu button, and you'll see settings. You go to settings, and there's a settings for wireless and network, right? And then in there's Bluetooth settings, right?
Correct. You press that.
And then in your Bluetooth settings, there should be a list of Bluetooth devices. Those are devices you've previously connected with, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Now you press and hold. Press and hold the device, and one of the menu items is unpair.
Gotcha. It's so easy when I talk to you.
Well, it's only because I've done it 1,000 times that I know how to do it. This is one of the issues with smartphones in general is that they don't have a lot of, it's not like a computer where you have menus and stuff. So I think it's a little easier in Android. One of the things to remember in Android that you don't do in an iPhone is press and hold.
The really tough thing about it is the smartphone is smarter than I am.
No. It isn't. And this is another issue. I really want to make sure you understand this. I say it all the time. It's not your fault. If it's not clear, it's because they didn't design it clearly enough. It should be intuitive and easy.
You may want to try this headset, by the way. It's a Blue Parrot XT 250 XT.
I bought one. I love it. Isn't it great?
It's the truck driver headset.
Yeah.
And when I call in, I call a lot to radio stations, radio shows.
Yep.
They think I'm on a landline.
Yeah, no, I use it. It's so funny that you should mention that. We have a number of truckers who listen, and they're always saying, give me a noise-canceling, easy-to-use headset with great battery life. I always recommend the Blue Parrot BT500? 250. BT250.
250 XT, and then there's a new Express that's the same one inside. It's just a different outside.
I bought the 250 XT, and I've been using it, and I love it. And then it's nice because it's comfortable. It's like a headset. It's got a boom mic, goes right next to your mouth.
I love it. That's what I'm on now.
Jim, thanks for the recommendation.
Thank you. You have a good day, Leo.
You too.
Thanks
Take care. Yeah. It's funny that he should mention that because after recommending it several times, I finally said, I got to get one of these. I ordered it, and it's about $80 on Amazon. The Blue Parrot BT 250. But look at it first, because some people don't. Some people want the little in-ear, thing that just sits there. This is not that. You look like the Time Life operator. You've got a head. It almost looks like headphones with a boom mic. 8888 Ask Leo is the number. Jonathan's in the chat room. He's from the Netherlands. He said, "How do I call from the Netherlands?" Easy enough. You need Skype or some VoIP solution that will let you call a phone. If you have Skype, use Skype Out. Because it's a toll-free number in the U.S., it won't use any of your Skype Out credits. You just call +1 on Skype, 888-827-5536. And we actually have a line open for you, Jonathan. I'm going to leave that line open if you want to call from the Netherlands. Tom in Encino, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
I hope nobody I know is listening.
Well, we won't call you Tom. We'll call you Bob. How about that?
There you go.
Bob from Fresno. What can I do for you?
Well, I'm not a real computer-savvy kind of person.
That's okay. That's okay.
But I was using thumb drives.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a bunch of documents that were saved on the thumb drive, and I, of course, had them downloaded on my work computer and home computer. Don't tell anybody. But so I was clearing them out, and I wanted to get them all together in one spot so I could hand them off to a guy that's going to take over a position for me.
Great.
So I
Bob in Fresno, you sound so depressed.
I am. Because I think the answer is you're out of luck.
No. Let's not give up yet.
I got the thumb drives, and I'm transferring the files over, and boy, this one's clear, and this one's now clean, and I said, great. But what I've got is I got like some of the files are backed up in another folder, and I open them, and it's the same file, so I click on it. And then when I transfer them, I hit it so that when they're done, they'll just erase if they're doubles and stuff. And then I'll close out the file, and I'll send it to the recycle bin. And I'm doing that, and I look up, and I go, oh, my God, no, it's my heart. It's my damn...
Oh, no, you were doing it to your hard drive, not the thumb drive.
No, it's the thumb drive that I'm saving it to. I hit instead of the folder. And I realize I'm deleting the files on my thumb drive that I wanted to keep, so I click stop, hoping that it didn't transfer them.
Oh.
And it did.
It did.
And I went into the recycle bin.
Yeah.
And everything I could find in there that I had been getting rid of for a day and a half, I'd said I'm putting it back on, to find out that a lot of the folders are now empty.
Oh, dear.
And I'm going, well, if you were doing naughty on your computer and the police come and take it, they can run a program and
they can. We're going to use the... Yeah, so Bob in Fresno, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, get down off that ledge.
Is there a way?
Yes, there is, but stop messing with it. What happens is the good news is deleting a file does not actually delete the data. All deleting a file does, and this is on all modern operating systems, is tell the operating system you can use this area again. It takes too much time to erase the file. It just says it's free. This space is free. So as long as you didn't overwrite the original, and I mean overwrite it not by name but in the same kind of sector of the drive, that data is still there and totally recoverable. So
Now,
I'm going to give you a couple of programs.
Okay.
The one the chat room seems to be voting for is from a company called Piriform, PIRIFORM.com.
Piriform.
Yeah, and it's called Recuva, RECUVA.
Okay.
So you could Google Recuva, and you'd find it. It says, accidentally deleted an important file. Sounds like you. Lost something important when your computer crashed? No problem. Recuva recovers files deleted from your Windows computer, recycle bin, digital camera card, or MP3 player, and it's free.
Wow.
Now, it will not recover it if you overwrote it somehow. So that's why no more copying.
Okay.
And what you want to do is you want to put those thumb drives in. Is the original on the thumb drive or the hard drive?
No, I took them off the hard drive and put them on the thumb drive.
Oh, so the original may still be on the hard drive as well as on the thumb drive. So you have two shots at this.
Can you recover files from a thumb drive?
Sure.
Oh, my goodness.
So you have two shots at this, but you always want to recover to a different drive than you're taking it from.
Okay.
Because you don't want to again, any data you put on a drive at this point could overwrite the original, even though it's invisible, it's still there. You don't want to overwrite it.
Okay.
So get Recuva, put that thumb drive in, and scan it and recover it to, the best would be to recover it to an external drive, not your original drive, because there's still hope that you can get it from the original drive too. Cross your fingers for Bob from Fresno. Chat room, there are other programs. Chat room says Recuva is the one that they like, but there are other solutions as well. Well, a good day to you, Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. We're talking in the chat room about this video. It's gone viral. I can't watch it, so I can't comment on it. About the father who was so upset about what his daughter wrote about him on Facebook that he shot her laptop. And posted a fairly long, abusive video of his own, full of profanity and the shooting, on Facebook itself. And I cannot bring myself to. It's disturbing to me. It's violent, and I understand teenagers do. I got two teenagers. I understand teenagers do things that really make you crazy as a parent, but you don't get to shoot their laptop. I'm sorry, you don't get to do that. I will watch it. I'm going to force myself to watch it. I think that somebody in the chat room said it right. The parent's supposed to be the adult here. But what do you think? 8888 Ask Leo. I find it very difficult to watch that kind of thing. Maybe it's just me. Sam in North Carolina, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Sam.
Hey, how are you? Listen, I'm a retired old coot who lives in a little mountain town down in North Carolina, and I've got some hilltop property that I was fantasizing about setting up kind of a mesh network for these folks down here, public service kind of thing.
What a great... I love you. That's a great idea, Sam.
Well, I've got my own old Class C because I've been around since the year one, but my question is this. Should I be spending the time now in putting up little towers and notching out trees and doing all the stuff I need to do, or should I just wait till there's wireless everywhere?
Yeah, well, so you essentially want to become an internet service provider.
Well, a community service, yeah.
No, this is, to me, I wish this were, everybody were doing this. It's a great idea, and it takes the internet back to the people. What you'll need, of course, is and you know this, obviously, if you have a Class C, you need a backhaul to you from the backbone. So in other words, you need to buy a lot of internet service for yourself, a big fat pipe.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah, and then now the question you're asking is the famous last mile question. So every internet service provider has this question. So they have bandwidth in some centralized location. Could be your house, could be a central office.
We're getting fiber up the hill pretty soon, and
Wonderful.
the North Carolina Research Network, and we have bandwidth everywhere. It's just paying for it.
Yeah. So the issue is now, how do I get it the last mile? That is from my big fat pot of bandwidth to all the consumers of the bandwidth. And you could do wire. That's very, very expensive.
Right.
Verizon has really pretty much stopped installing Fios because it was around $5,000 per customer. And it's hard. Right. It's hard to imagine a way to make that money back. So wired, I think, is probably not in your interest. But there are solutions already that might be doable for you, like WiMAX.
Right.
That's a wireless
Isn't that
solution.
For the carriers now?
Well, anybody can do WiMAX. It's a form of 802.11. Now, you might have to spend some money on gear.
Yeah.
But what I would do is I wouldn't give it away. I'd charge people a nominal rate. You don't have to charge them a lot, $10 a month, $15 a month, partly to cover your bandwidth, but also to cover your infrastructure. You don't have to become a profit-making enterprise, but why not cover your costs?
Well, sure. I've got everything from businesses to hobbyists who want to fly UAVs over the internet. So,
It's great. I mean, I think this is a great solution. Community internet is a movement that's going on. Now, there are ways. You said an interesting word, mesh. There are ways to do this wireless with mesh. Meraki is the name you want to look up, Meraki.
I think I can stick those up in trees with car batteries, can't I?
Yeah, there's all sorts of ways to do it. I mean, are your customers so far apart that you can't that they can't see each other? You know, they can't.
Well, I can see some good node points, the different mountaintops and the hilltops and libraries and people who have service. You know, I could get service through. But I'm not sure what my reach would be, but I've started mapping out where I'd need to notch trees and get line of sight and different things like that. But I'm just not sure if, with what's coming down the road, whether that's going to be worth all the time and effort to do that.
Yeah. Well, and this is the advantage of something like WiMAX. It's more like one-to-many. Meraki and other mesh solutions are many-to-many. So everybody who is a customer is also passing along the connection. That's what mesh does. Everybody is both an endpoint and a transmission point for the data. My opinion is that if mesh works best in a dense population. It doesn't sound like you've got a dense population.
No, it's not dense. It's just mountainous and very difficult to get shots of different.
Well, that's tricky too, because of course Wi-Fi and WiMAX are essentially line of sight products. So unless you have do you have a high spot that is visible to all your customers?
Not visible to all of them, but visible to some distribution points.
Ah, there you go. I mean, this does sound, mountainous territory would be the most difficult to wire. That's why you don't have high speed there. The reason rural areas don't get high-speed internet is because their population density is too low to support the infrastructure investment.
Right. Well, we're going to have fiber soon around, and that should just...
Well, that's the good news, is the bandwidth coming to you is cheap and getting cheaper. That's going to get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper.
Right.
It's the getting it that last mile that is costly now and may not get much cheaper. They're really... It's going to have to be wireless, it sounds like, and...
Yeah, so WiMAX would be the...
WiMAX was developed for this purpose. It goes as long as 30 miles. It's very...
Penetrates, yeah.
It's very high speed. It's essentially, though, microwave. So it's very high frequency, which means line of sight. You get good bandwidth on WiMAX. That's why, for instance, Sprint has been using Clearwire as their 4G provider. That's a WiMAX provider. So in Vegas, in Seattle, and other areas, WiMAX is being used by the telcos for internet service.
Oh yeah, I know that.
I think WiMAX is probably the best way to do last mile broadband in an area that is widely distributed. If it's mountainous and lots of trees, if line of sight is tricky, that may make it less than desirable. I'm not an expert on this, but what I would say is that there are a lot of community internet experts out there. This is a movement that I think is great.
To find them, but they're all deaf. My problem is I've got my own IPs, and I can really put them to work with circuit switching or do anything I want to.
Yeah, you're going to learn to be an internet service provider, aren't you? This is great.
Well, yeah, but anyway, I'll think about WiMAX, and thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
That would be my my initial thought, and if anybody's listening or is in the chat room and wants to share their thoughts, I'd love to hear from you. You're going to become a WISP, basically, a wireless internet service provider.
Right,
Yep.
yeah.
Hey, I think that's great, Sam. I want to encourage you to do that. What a great community service that is.
Would love to do it. 801c3 is coming up. Okay.
All right.
Thanks a lot. Have a
Thanks,
good day.
Sam. All right, take care. Yeah, I think this is it's very exciting because what it does is it essentially provides competition. It's what we need for internet service. What we have right now is a shrinking number of internet service providers. When it gets down to 2 or 3, that's when we really lose control. And they get to set the price, accessibility. They decide what we use, what we don't use. It becomes like the cellular service, which, as you probably know, is not great for consumers. We need diversity in internet service because internet service fundamentally is critical to innovation, to democracy, to the future of this country. So I love to support these people who want to do community internet. It's possible. You don't have to lose money doing it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the parenting expert and tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. of A. Outside the U.S., you can call that number using a Skype out. Peter's in Redondo Beach. Hi, Peter.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for calling. Enjoy your show.
Thank you.
I have a question, though. I get online to purchase one item, and then it linked me to the PayPal website.
Yeah.
Then I enter my name, address, and phone number, and everything, credit card. And after I purchase the item, I get out, and I get back in. And if I ever go to the PayPal page again, all my information is still kind of remember that.
That's for your convenience.
Yeah, but I make mistake when I use the computer at work. So now I don't want people. All that thing.
So what you want is you want anonymous browsing. What browser do you use?
Mozilla.
Yeah, Mozilla has that feature. So does Chrome. So does Safari. The way that what you need to understand is how PayPal knows this information. What it does is it stores what's called a cookie on that computer that identifies you. So they store the information about your credit card on their servers, but they need a way to identify you, right? So the way they identify you is they put a cookie on your computer that says, hey, this is Peter. So when you use it again, it says, oh, we got that guy back. Load up the credit card information he used last time. Now, that generally is for your convenience, so you don't have to type it in again. Okay. Remember, they can save that information without doing that again. They have that information. So, because you gave it to them. A lot of times sites will say, and they should say, I guess they didn't, do not save this information, private browsing, or, a lot of times when you log in, there'll be a check mark that says, remember me, and then it'll say, don't do this on a public computer. Things like that.
I've seen that before.
Yeah, what it's saying is, don't save this cookie. So you can fix it by going into that browser that you used and going to the preferences, looking at the cookies, finding any PayPal cookies and deleting them, or just delete all the cookies.
I did that. I go because I use I go to the option inside Mozilla, and then delete all the cookies. It highlights like a whole bunch. I said select them all, delete them all, and I exit it. I come back in, it's still there.
Oh, okay. So PayPal's probably using a secondary, less deletable method, and a lot of sites do this now. So there's browser cookies, but there's also Flash has a storage mechanism, and I think PayPal, in fact, does use Flash to store stuff. So you have to also delete your Flash data. There may be other ways. There are things called super cookies that aren't really cookies that are much more difficult to delete. In other words, it's possible to identify you if a website wants to identify you by all sorts of means. For instance, there's if it turns out, somebody's done some research on this, that with as few as 5 to 6 different parameters, it can uniquely identify almost anybody. And these parameters are things that a browser can find out, like what version of a plugin you're using, the size of your screen, all these things a browser can query without your knowledge. Things that would seem public, but if you combine all 6 of them, it makes you unique. There's only one person, only Peter has a screen this size, this version of the 3 different plugins, has this much room on his hard drive, whatever it is that they can find out. They can, even then, so it's very hard to be anonymous on the web. But I do believe that if you delete your flash storage and your cookies, you'll be all right with, I believe that's sufficient with PayPal. So the way, go ahead.
Sorry. I know how to delete the cookie, but the flash, how do I delete those things?
There's what you want is flash settings, and you actually do that in the browser.
Oh, okay.
So if you Google Flash Settings Manager, it'll take you to a Adobe site where Flash will load up, and you know, it's a little longer. It's like adobe.com/go/flash. I mean, it's long. It's a long URL. But if you Google it, you'll be able to go in there, and it'll open up a little flash window that is actually the settings for that computer, and clear the data. Then try it. See if you clear the cookies and clear the flash data. I bet you then PayPal won't know you.
Okay, I would try that.
Yeah, and then next time use incognito browsing, and what it's telling the browser is don't remember anything. Yeah, there's the link, and it's a long one. macromedia.com/support/documentation/EN/flashplayer/help/settings_manager02.html. You'd almost feel like they don't want you to delete these. It almost feels like they really don't want you to mess with this at all. And so you'll see global storage settings. Allow third-party flash content to store data on your computer. You know, PayPal doesn't really use flash. They don't have to. They have a little invisible flash bug on that page that actually, and this is not uncommon. I'm pretty sure PayPal does do this. It actually stores data there. So if you delete cookies, they still know you. Now, again, I don't think it's necessarily nefarious. You're right. You don't want to use it on your work computer or a library computer or a public computer, but it is a convenience, isn't it? When you go to a site and it already knows your credit card information, or at least some of it, or you don't have to enter in everything. Oh, yeah, and Plex85 mentions a good point. Remember to restart after you do that, because often this stuff's also stored in memory. Alan in Los Angeles, our next caller. Hi, Alan. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Leo, still using DSL streaming Carbonite, thanks to you.
Right on, dude. We love our sponsors there. You know, I actually have, it's in my contract, the right to refuse advertisers if I don't support them. And we often turn down advertisers because it has to be somebody I use. So these are all companies that I get behind because I actually use them.
And they work, and they work well. You opened the show talking about what's happening in Japan. And I had the privilege of working with a relief agency, so I was in Fukushima. And
oh, my goodness.
Exactly on the head. You nailed it exactly on the head. It's the fear is the biggest problem there.
Yeah.
It's really the fear factor that's probably the hardest thing for people to deal with, where we're concerned about, for lack of a better term, post-traumatic type of things, because first couple of months, everybody's saying, well, we can do it, we're going to go back. And after 6 months to a year, that's when the hopelessness starts to set in.
Right.
So we're trying to bring people over there and continuing to help out the people over there.
We all have such short attention spans now. Once a story is over, and that usually is in a few days, this one went on for a few weeks, but once it's over, it's almost as if it never happened. And yet if you live in that area, it's serious to consider this stuff. So what is the latest on that? Is the plant completely shut down now and controlled and contained? Is there any radiation in the environment from it?
Contained, yes. Shut down, no. Of what I know.
Wow, it's a year. It's almost a year later.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Your opening was talking about nuclear power. Nuclear power is something that really is something that's very hard to manage, and that's exactly what you're seeing in Japan.
We got to keep that in mind. And yet, there are consequences to all kinds of power, aren't there? Hey, hang on the line because I want to answer your question. I appreciate it, Alan. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Extreme. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Phone number 888-827-5536. Might be easier to remember 8888 Ask Leo, or even easier, remember the website because the phone number is there, the chat room is there, show notes are there, audio from our, 846 previous shows is all at techguylabs.com. That's the easiest to remember, isn't it? techguylabs.com. And always fun to have you in the chat room if you stop by. 990 people in there. And we enjoy that. We enjoy it. Because it gives, these you guys in the chat room, you're giving me the answers in many cases. Additional information. It's very helpful. Now, I was talking to Alan on line 5 from Los Angeles, back from Japan. Hi, Alan.
Hi again.
What's your problem? What's your computer? I mean, everybody calls me with a problem. What's your problem?
It's not exactly a problem here, but it's more of a need-to-know type of thing. So I've got an older Dell desktop, dual-core 1.86 gig machine, and I've got a 500 gig hard drive in there, and I'm running out of space. I'm thinking about adding a 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte hard drive to give me a little bit more room. Any rules I need to follow, like what kind of hard drive works with this kind of chip or this particular...
No. How old is the computer?
I want to say about 3 years old.
It's running XP, Vista?
No, but I'm using a Windows 7.
Windows, yeah. If anything that can run Windows 7, you're going to get an SATA hard drive, a SATA drive, and anything that you can buy today should work fine with that computer.
Do you trust 2 terabyte hard drives? Or is that too big?
Well, I do. No, I don't think it's too big, but you do have to understand that the way that these hard drives have gotten so big is by packing more bits in the same amount of space. So, in theory, that means they would be a little more vulnerable. That hasn't been my experience. My friend Steve Gibson, who is a hard drive expert, says I don't trust 2 and 3 terabytes. He said I didn't trust terabyte drives back in the day. So, is it a laptop?
No, it's a desktop.
So, my suggestion, if you have the space, if you have enough SATA connectors, would be to get 2 1 terabyte drives, then 1 2 terabyte drive.
Just 1 terabyte drives and 1 2 terabyte drive.
Two ones, and the reason is you're going to get roughly the same amount of storage, but you'll get more flexibility. For instance, you could have a backup on the second drive, or you could have Windows on one drive and data on another drive. It's my preference to have multiple drives.
Okay.
Over a single drive.
I like the idea.
Yeah.
I like the idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. I appreciate it as always, sir.
Thanks for listening, Alan. I really appreciate the call. Species 8470 in the chat room says that's wasteful. It is wasteful. But it's not, these are durable goods. It's not like you're going to buy one every 5 weeks. Another chatter. Let me see if I can find the name here. Bill says I have 50 plus data center racks. Bill must run a network operations center full of 2 and 3 terabyte drives. It tells me that they're pretty reliable. They're pretty reliable. But you got to realize that all these people are backing up. But I like the idea of a little bit. Well, hey, if you want a lot of storage, get 2 3 terabyte drives. That's all right. But I like the idea of 2 drives. I do. This gives me more flexibility. Bob in Newport Beach. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Leo. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. I've got a couple of minor problems, and hopefully you can help me out.
Okay.
The first one is I believe my email has been compromised.
Why do you think that?
Because people are getting emails from me that I didn't send.
Yeah. Now, are they spammy emails or are they? What are the emails?
Basically, it says, "Hi, I think you'd like to see what this is," and then it's got a link.
Yeah, it's a virus. So that could mean one of two things. It could mean that, in fact, your email's been compromised. More likely, they're just using your address as a return address.
Okay.
So the way you find out is by looking in your sent box. Is it web-based email or is it local?
It's Yahoo.
It's Yahoo. Yeah, Yahoo gets compromised a lot. So go online to your Yahoo Mail and look in the sent box and see if those messages were sent from you.
Okay.
If they're not there, that could be the bad guy is using your email and deleting them. But it's probable. It's very easy to just take an email program and say, hey, my email address is bob@bobswebsite.com. It's not a hard thing to do. You can make your email come from anyone. That's one of the problems with email is it was never designed to be secure. Spammers, of course, never use their real address. Virus authors even less. So what they're going to do? What return address are they going to use? Oh, they just pick one at random.
Okay, well, then there's probably nothing wrong with my machine then.
Well, here's what I would do. I would change your Yahoo Mail password. I bet you've done that already, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if somebody compromised it, they didn't get your machine, they got your Yahoo account. Change your password, you'll lock them out. Now, if those mails continue to come from your address, then you really know it's not me. It's just somebody's using my email. And the good news is the spammers usually move on. They don't always use the same return address. They try other ones. I, for instance, all the time, if I look at my inbox, get mail that's returned to me. In fact, I've been lately, here's the latest one I've been getting, a lot of mail from inmates in prisons saying they've rejected my email. I never sent them any email. It's some spammer sending them email with my address.
Okay, well, I'm not real paranoid, but my wife is.
Well, she should be because it is certainly something to be aware of. But it sounds like you're all right. Yahoo Mail does tend to get compromised, but usually what happens is they pose as you. They say, oh, this is Bob. Something terrible happened. I was in Europe, and I got mugged, and they took my passport and my money, and I'm stuck here. I'll pay you back the minute I get home, but can you just wire me $1,000 so I can get back home? That's the kind of thing that happens. Now, if that's happening to you, yes, somebody's compromised your Yahoo account. But if it's just people getting spam with your email, then I wouldn't worry about that too much. Now, let's see what else. Is it possible that your system is compromised? Sure, even without that symptom. So make sure, and I'm sure you do this, but I have to say it every show, you run Windows Update and you keep it updated. The minute there's an update, you make sure you apply it so that your system is fully patched. That means you won't have any holes in your system that a bad guy can exploit. It's a good idea to have a good antivirus running to keep you from accidentally running viruses, and from time to time do a thorough scan. Microsoft actually puts a pretty good tool on your system every time you do that Windows update. It's called the malicious software removal tool. But what they don't do, which is kind of a shame, is run a full scan. When they do update it, they don't run a full scan. They run a quick scan. So one thing that I do recommend people do from time to time is, and this is a little complicated, just bear with me here, click the Start menu. And on the Start menu, in most cases, there's a run command, run ... Click that, and it'll open a little box that lets you type in something. Type in MRT, Microsoft Removal Tool, MRT. Hit Return. That opens up a window of a program you didn't even know you had, the Microsoft Malicious Software Removal Tool. And check the box that says Thorough and press Scan. Not a bad idea once in a while, maybe once a month, especially after that second Tuesday of the month patch update to run that. And that'll let you know that your system's clean. Your next version of Windows, I'm almost certain Microsoft will put an antivirus and better security on that. They really need to secure Windows. They've done a good job patching, kind of back patching Windows, but they really need to kind of be more proactive. And I think they will do that next version. That's what all the rumors are. Thanks for the call, Bob. Oh, time to take a break. One less segment to go on the Tech Guy Show. If you're on the line, hang on the line. I will get to you right after this. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Crazy. Speaking of crazy, here he is, the madman himself from Mad Magazine, Dick DeBartolo, Mad's maddest writer, and our Gizwiz. He's our gadget guru. He joins us every week to talk about crazy gadgets. He's also the host of the fabulous weekly Daily Gizwiz show, heard on this very same podcast network. Hello, Dickie D.
Yes, Leo, how you doing?
I am well, back from New York. We had a great time with breakfast with you. That was so much fun.
Oh, that was actually really great. I had a good time, too.
Yeah, it was nice to see you. And now I'm here. I hear you had some snow in New York. Is that right?
You know what? It's yes, but it's about 41 degrees, so it ain't sticking.
It's melting. Melting.
It's melting. Yeah.
Well, what do you have for us gadget-wise today?
Well, you know what? We showed this one day when we did some live coverage from CES, and I got a lot of responses. People are very intrigued with the Joy Zip mini charger with the zip tails.
Okay. The Joy Zip.
Perfectly clear from that.
Perfectly clear what that is.
Zip tails are little like 2-inch devices that plug into pretty much anything that takes a USB adapter, and they have one for the iPod adapter. Hangs down, and there's a little button on the end that's magnetic, and you bring it near the zip charger. The zip charger grabs the little magnet, automatically centers it over a little tab, and starts charging your device. Now, the mini charger can charge 4 devices at one time, and then the larger one can do 7 devices at one time, and that includes the iPad. And what's neat about it is if the phone rings while it's on the charge pad, you just pick it up. The little magnetic thing just lets
pulls it
go.
off. Yeah. Well, it reminds me of Apple's MagSafe adapter, which just pulls right out.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if it's a micro or mini or an iPod adapter, the 30-pin, for let's see just the price here. Oh, yeah, $50. The mini zip comes with 2 adapters, and then I believe it's $80 for the larger zip charger. But it's very convenient, and it works really well. I like it a lot. I keep it on my dresser, and I just bring things near it. And I tease it. I bring it close, but don't let it down.
Where can you get? Is it on Amazon, or do I have to go to their website?
Amazon, yes. Amazon sells it. It's the Mini is in distribution now. It's from the Joy. It's at thejoyfactory.com, but it's better to shop at Amazon so you can check for discounts.
And Dick DiBartolo is on the website, gizwiz.biz, GIZWIZ.biz. That's where you can play his What the Heck Is It contest. And see here, I've got the prize, an autographed copy of Mad Magazine.
Yes. Well, next month they'll be winning the issue after that one.
So this is the Obama issue. And,
yes, that's a January-February issue.
And there'll be a March-April that they'll be winning that.
Yes, and I probably can show the cover next week of the issue that they'll be playing for.
They're crayoning it right now.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. So you don't want to get any crayon on your fingers, and all you have to do.
There should be a way to print those. I'm so tired of
Wouldn't
drawing
that be
those
nice?
covers.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of covers to draw by hand. All right, Dick, hang in there because we're going to do the weekly daily Gizwiz in just a moment.
Excellent.
Don't go anywhere.
Be here.
Thank you. Mick in Jefferson, Wisconsin. You're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Mick.
Hey, how you doing, Leo?
Very well. Welcome to the show.
Great to talk to you. I'm a long-time listener from back in the Tech TV days, especially the screensavers.
Well, thank you.
But hey, I want to talk to you a little bit about my backups. I'm all Mac for starters. Let's talk about that. And the only thing that's important to me are my photos. Anything that I'm working on, like word processor files or anything, I use that with Dropbox. So everything is in there. It's backed up to multiple computers and the cloud. But my photos are really important, and it's hard to get them to the online storage places automatically because I don't actually keep them on my computer. Every year I purge my computer of my photos and store them on disks or
That's
whatever.
a good idea. Yeah, make sure you have 2 copies, though.
Oh, at least.
Yeah, good. All right.
I'm using Pogo Plug at a friend's house, and that's great and everything, but I like control a little more than that. So I have a utility shed in my backyard that I built a couple of years ago, and this year I want to run power to it. So I was thinking about taking a network cable with it and putting like an Airport Extreme out there. But what do you think about that in the winter in Wisconsin or the summer in Wisconsin? Either one.
Well, hard drives, of course, do like to operate within certain temperature parameters, but the shed's not heated or air conditioned, I presume.
No.
But it is sheltered. What you should look at is the operational limits of the hardware you want to put out there. You're not going to just put a hard drive out there. You're going to put a computer, too. Even if it's network-attached storage, it's basically a computer with some hard drives. Yep. So I would look at the operational parameters. I'm not sure you'd really want to go too much below 0.
Oh, Yeah, that'll happen. That was
But,
just last night.
but remember, now, if the shed isn't closed and you've got hardware in there, that hardware is heating the place up a little bit.
Especially if I hide the hardware a little bit, kind of like build it into the
There
shed.
you go. Put it in the cabinet. There you go.
Yeah, that's what I would do for security,
I don't think, I mean... I don't know, because I don't live in Wisconsin. But I don't...
Yeah.
I know it can get like 20 or 30 below. You certainly don't want the shed to be... or the hard drive to be that cold. It will. You're right. That is well beyond the operating parameters. But go and look on the web. Are you going to get a network attached storage? Is that what you're going to get?
Yeah, probably an Airport Extreme. Since everything else is Apple, everything just works great that way.
Well, go to the Apple site, and it will say what the parameters are. I have a feeling that because you're going to have gear in there, especially if you build it in an enclosure, it probably will not get that cold.
Okay.
But
yeah,
you should pay attention to that.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
And you should also pay attention to humidity. I mean, the things that computers don't like, digital technology doesn't like, is hot, extreme cold, and moisture.
Yep.
So keep all three of those. Yeah. The Gizwiz is saying he keeps a 40-watt light bulb on in his boat, and that's enough to keep his water lines from freezing. And I think something like that in the winter is probably more than sufficient. And in the summer, just open her up.
Yeah, I could do that.
let the wind blow free through the air.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably all right. You might be better off putting it inside, though. Why do you want to put it out in the shed?
Just so if the house burns down.
Yeah, good point.
Far enough away, it won't burn.
Good point.
I use Super Duper and Time Machine to back everything else and take a copy to work. So
I think you're probably good. I think having a local copy and then an off-site copy at work is probably more than enough.
Good enough?
Yeah. But it's up to you. I respect your paranoia. Seriously, because we get so many calls from people who have lost their data. It's, better to have too many copies than too few.
Well, that can be confusing, too. Like, which one's the newest one?
Yeah, right. I was just saying that to somebody. I cannot delete a photo because I am so paranoid, and so many copies, everything I take a picture of ends up automatically copied to so many places, including the cloud, that even if I deleted, every copy I could find, there'd still be copies around. Every photo I take is somehow backed up, 4 or 5 times. And I think that's what you want.
Yep, I do.
Yep.
Hey, one quick question before I'm gone, before the end of the show, is this being an election year, are you running for the president of the Internet again this year?
I talked to Jason Heiner of Tech Republic. He's the guy who had the vote 2 years ago now. And I said, Jason, I just want to thank you for letting me have an 8-year term. Because he didn't do it this year.
Well, you got my vote.
I'm still the president. Thank you, Mick. I appreciate it. Thank you all for listening. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.